Back for another episode of the Sporting Crashers podcast, episode 6. Really appreciate everybody that has been rocking with us, supporting us since day one. This one's a little bit more of a special. It's more of a summary on the draft, on free agency with three of my closest people, some of my friends, call them my brothers, starting with number 1, Dee Thomas, representing the Kansas City Chiefs. Number 2, Joseph Hernandez, with Dallas Cowboys. Going to talk a little bit of football, see what's going on in the DFW, Dallas. Then, of course, appreciate Kyle Barber being on my show. New England Patriots, that's my cousin from Boston. We're going to do this today. We're going to basically kind of break down what they saw from the draft, what they like, and then the upcoming schedules and opponents for 2023-2024 season. But for now, let's take a break. First up, Dee Thomas. We'll be right back.
Sporting Crashers podcast, episode 6. This is Eric Martinez. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our very first person on the new segment called Bonding Over Beers. We're going to talk a little football. So I had to start off with the number one person that is supporting, obviously, the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. Dee Thomas, Coach D, Mr. TikTok himself. What's going on, man?
What's going on? How you doing, brother?
Pretty good, man. You know, we got the rivalry going right now, Raiders and Chiefs. So, you know, AFC West
right?
represent over here. Yeah.
I know. It'd be hard to be in the same place.
Exactly. So a lot of people that have been listening to the podcast and are tuning in for the first time, this segment, you're going to find me sitting down, talking a little football, more of an easy pace go with family, friends. I got some celebrities coming up later in the year. Just, you know, cracking open a beer and talking a little football. So, first thing I want to know, man, you know, we talk a lot about it all the time. We were talking about, actually, I think I texted you when Eric Bieniemy took the position in the Commanders to be their offensive coordinator. My question to you is, based off of that, how do you think it'll impact your team? And I'm not going to name drop any players that I heard, but the locker room was kind of split on that because half of them were saying, hey, okay, and half of them were saying, well, you know, how's it going to run? So especially with Matt Nagy taking over the play call, but you still got Andy Reid. How do you see this playing out?
I'm like 50-50 on it. I'm not a fan of Matt Nagy at all. You know, like, it showed when he went to the Bears. I believe he went to the Bears. He was just good in his little role. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm just split on it. I'm basically like 50-50 because I don't see him as a play caller, to be honest with you. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm going to pray that I'm wrong, but I really don't see him as one. I felt like we should have went out and got somebody else.
Right.
But since he's been in the system, he might got a little idea of how things go. And like you said, we got Andy Reid, so that makes me even prouder, you know, because Andy Reid can override him. So basically what I feel about it. So
I don't see how much of that offense really will be an issue. I think that, you know, you have Patty Mahomes, you got Andy Reid, you know, you got a potential to everything. Wanted a real quick question about that defense. I know there wasn't really too much talk about you guys are a defensive-minded team, but I think that you guys making the plays at the right time get you guys an advantage of like, hey, you know what? We can be a balanced defensive and offensive team. What do you think about that?
Oh, most definitely. I think, especially last year, I believe starting all those rookies really helped. And they got the experience to go along with that. And then, you know, drafting new guys and hopefully they pick up, you know, and everybody stay healthy. That's the key. And I really like that. I wish we was a dominant defense, but we do make the plays at the right time when we really, really need it. So that's like a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about free agency, and I know one of the biggest keys right now that's kind of in limbo. We don't know exactly what's happening, but Frank Clark, that defensive end on the edge, if in fact he doesn't, you know, sign that extension, if he still kind of plays it out from what I'm reading with the agent, How do you guys, how do you replace him, or do you guys, bring somebody that you have already on the staff or the roster and saying, hey, you know what? Let's see about giving this kid a chance.
Well, I know we drafted a couple of defensive ends, and
Yeah, I think that was the main the kid from K State,
yeah, from K-State.
Felix
But
Andudoki Azuma,
you can't replace a Frank Clark, man. But
Clark the
money
Shark,
is
man.
kind of thin, I would say. And I see how the Chiefs going. They kind of easy, don't want to spend a lot of money to try to build these young players up and to build a team, Because I thought we was due when we lost Tyreek, but
Yeah,
I guess they kind of going through that pattern. If you within those limits, they would spend the money. But if not, they'd rather develop a young player and let them play. But it's going to be hard to replace Frank Clark, man. Oh, man. He was very dominant, made plays when we needed him at the right time. So,
yeah. Well, I know one thing that you guys have made it at least the last 2 years as far as a pattern. You guys have given the tools and the the things necessary for Patty to be successful. Last year it was Sky Moore. I think that he's going to be developed. I actually said that last year in the draft before it started. I said, watch this kid because he's not a big name. I think this particular draft class for the wide receivers, it wasn't necessarily that you're going to find stars from top 1 to 16, but I think when you get to the 9 to 12 mark, you got a lot of wide receivers that could have made a major impact, and they'll come in right away. I think you guys took, I think in the second round, you took the SMU wide receiver Rashee Rice. So, tell me about a young receiver coming in, getting a chance to play with Patty. Just the fact that you guys, obviously Smith-Schuster signs with the Patriots, you re-sign Watson. So, the wide receiver core might be young, but the only way to get experience is to play, man,
Play. And I think that helped. It was, oh man, what playoff was it? When all our receivers went down.
Mm-hmm.
We had to rely on those young guys to get us through that playoff. That was the key to me. Every receiver we had was just falling. So I think these young receivers, and I heard that him and Rice was working out.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about it. So he's going to learn real quick. And I think having a bunch of receivers just to learn as the season goes on, it's going to help him. So when he does get in the game, he should be explosive.
Exactly. I mean, the one thing that I respect about the Chiefs, as much as this pains me to say, you guys draft not only for the needs, but you guys get guys that, like, for instance, Wanye Morris from Oklahoma, that offensive tackle. I mean, he's sitting there and people aren't picking him, and then all of a sudden you get this safety from Virginia Tech, Kamari Connor, and he could have gone higher. I was actually surprised that he was sitting there that late in the 4th round. I'm sitting there like 17 picks in the 4th round have gone. I remember because I watched that entire Virginia Tech game, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this kid easily reminds me of a safety that plays for LSU, Alabama, Georgia. But how key is it for you guys defensively as far as the secondary for you guys to be healthy? I mean, I know, to have players that can come in and the depth that you have, how important is that going to be, especially, with the type of gunslingers that you have, not only in the AFC West, but, good old Mr. Rogers just has his new residency in New York wearing that green and black now.
Oh, my gosh, yes. I think that's pretty much why we draft, because a lot of defenses go down, even though we have our starters and we got the young guys from last year, but we did draft, Connor, we drafted Jones, I believe, and it was somebody else. But I think they can sit back and learn from the other guys, and because you never know when your name is going to be called to get in there. And I just think the more you have, especially young at a nice price, the better off you be, because they want to prove themselves.
Exactly. It's funny you say that, man, because I always think, like, you can never have too much of a position, because Worst case scenario, in this case, a safety, you know he's gonna play special teams. And you got hard hitting safeties. I think you guys re-signed Mike Edwards, and then you re-signed Deion Bush. So you're talking about these guys are gonna get the playing time, and they're gonna make an impact not only defensively but also, you know, just depending on situational football, especially. So yeah, man, that's a good thing. So what do you think? What do you think? Because we won't talk about, you know, repeating or anything like this. By the way, subscribers and everybody listening, catch my boy Dee Thomas. He will be on the season prediction 2023-2024 schedule in September when we are talking record predictions for Bonding Over Beers with my buddies. But for right now, we all know. I mean, last time we saw it was New England Patriots back-to-back in early 2000s.
Right.
Percentage chance, let's start low. Let's start division, right? What do you see in the division that you yourself says, okay, this might be trouble? Or something like, hey, I'm not sure if we're going to sweep this team. Maybe we go 1-1, maybe 0-2. Who you see in the division that might give you a scare?
Oh, man. It's always.
I know you ain't saying silver and black, so you know what I'm saying. I didn't want to throw them out there, even though I wanted, but you know.
I think the one team that probably would give me the scare is the Chargers. I don't know why. They just have our number sometimes, and even though they've rebuilding themselves, I just don't see us sweeping them. Probably, I don't see it. The Raiders give us a lot of time, but since Derek Carr gone, I don't know how they're going to look, you know, with their new, you know, everything they got that's new, you know.
Yeah.
You can't count on their wide receiver core because they veterans, but, oh, man. Yeah, I would say the Chargers if I had to pick it.
Okay. Listen, a healthy Jackson is a great pick. I mean, I think he's one of the lockdowns of the NFL. I think if he was healthy, I'm not saying they would have beat the Jaguars, but I think that in the second half of that game, they would have had a lot more respect out there in the secondary because he is a natural lockdown. So I think that's a safe bet. Real quick, I want to kind of keep it in the same division. Thoughts on the Broncos? Any type of, improvement?
They give us a hard way to go. I think the Broncos going to be a lot better than last year.
I forecast that too.
Defensively, they were good.
Yeah.
Offensively is where they struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, that's going to be scary if they get that offense together.
Right.
Defensively, they sound already.
Right.
It's just the offense couldn't keep up with the defense.
Yeah. Real talk. Well, we've been talking about this a lot because we watched the Super Bowl together. For everybody that doesn't know, and we were kind of going back and forth. And the only reason is because obviously I'm a diehard Raider fan. But definitely, you know, when it comes to Super Bowls and a team comes out and plays with energy and organization strategy from the coaching standpoint, you know how that goes. We were talking in the Super Bowl, and we were talking about Isaiah Pacheco. Who do you see that is, and it could be the Chiefs or it could be anybody that you saw in the draft that's going to be like, hey, you know what? Late in January, he's going to have that impact. He might be that guy.
I think if Atlanta used Bijan, I think he could be that guy. He just seemed like he hungry. No matter, even though he's a first-round pick, sometimes you could just look at a guy and he look like he wants to prove himself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, some guys just happy to go first round, but he looks like he's going to prove himself.
Yeah, you know, I think if he gets a chance, you know, obviously I know Cordell Patterson and things of that nature out there. But if he gets a chance, I mean, he is one of those running backs that you get him on those little screen passes or, you know, the little dump passes. This guy's gonna break. And I guarantee you, all of those that they know about football, they watch the NFL, and they game break. Bijan, breaks for XXX. Bijan Robinson breaks for how much?
Have him on your fantasy team.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, I like that. I'm kind of leaning towards, and I know this is probably a home run, and that's the reason I just said his last name because I always got him mixed up in Texas. But I'm going Roshan Johnson. I'm going running back from the Bears, and again, the game that I saw against Baylor, and I think it was Iowa State, I'm thinking to myself, if Bijan is not here, this kid is probably breaking for. I mean, he's pretty much the package that you need at a running back position. Not only D1, but you also got him, in the NFL. So, you know, we were talking about this too. You get your first running back, your running back 2, running back 3. At this point, it's almost like you got to have a 3-headed monster.
You got to have a 3-headed monster. And that's what I'm trying to figure out with the Chiefs. I'm like, we got Pacheco, we got McKinnon. Well, I mean, we got a few other guys, but I'm like, who's that other guy? Like,
yeah.
I like Kareem Hunt. He was on free agency, but he might be too high for us.
Right.
I don't know if we want to
he's still out there.
Back. Yeah, so I'm like, that was a lad. He just don't cut it for me. I never was a fan of him.
Yeah. He had his glimpse, but the problem that I always see about players like that, and no disrespect to him, shout out LSU Tigers champs. But it's the durability though, right? You know what I mean? Right. How am I gonna know if you're good or not if you're not on the team? If you don't play the AFC title run, I'm thinking to myself, well, the next season, how much can the coaches really rely on you?
Right. Isaiah Pacheco played with a broken hand and torn labrum that he just had surgery on. Nobody knew he was hurt. Because that's why I like guys like that, because late in the rounds, they want to prove themselves. He's like, if he come out, he might don't get his spot back. So he went hard and he produced. So that's the kind of guys that you want on your team. The kind of people that's really hungry, got a lot to prove, got certain kind of backgrounds where they come from and, want to take care of their families and they want to do everything they can to succeed.
Yeah. So talk to me about the one and only Andy Reid. Talk to me about, obviously we already know his legacy is stamped. I'm not even going to question because, Hall of Famer legacy, but tell me what, I don't want to say this year, but let's say another Super Bowl in his coaching career with the Chiefs. What's that do to him? What level of comparison do you got him when you're talking about, putting him in, I don't want to say Mount Rushmore, but, at least honorable consideration?
Right. Oh, man, he would have been up there. Because I believe we should have went to 5 straight Super Bowls, be honest. It was a couple little hiccups and we messed up. Interception that first year. I think Clark was offsides.
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, yep.
We should have went then. But, things happen. Andy Reid is just great. The thing about Andy Reid, he just know how to, of course everybody knows he know how to coach, but he knows how to adapt to this generation.
Right.
Everybody comes from a generation. Some people stuck in their ways. But you got to learn how to adapt to these younger guys and this generation that's coming in. And everybody seems to like all the fun stuff he do, the confusion and all that stuff. So
exactly.
If he could get another one, he'll be up there with the Belichicks and all those guys. Because, he really would have been up there if he would have won with the Eagles.
Yeah. Man, let me tell you something. That McNabb and Owens team when they played the Patriots in that Super Bowl, I was rooting for them, man. That was I loved how they played that year. They just ran into, Tom Brady and them. Yeah.
But
so good segment. Now you already know how we always say you got to take care of your wins at home. That is one part of the success to get to the playoffs. The other part is you gotta capture wins on the road too. I'm gonna start off, and again, right now we don't have the NFL schedule for those that are listening. This is prior to the release of the NFL schedule, so I do know the away opponents, but I don't know the as far as the order. But I'm gonna start off by first one that I saw off the board right away was Patriots. Now, you already know how the NFL does a Patriots Chiefs. If it's in New England, it's a Sunday night. It's a Monday night. It's probably a prime time, especially with Belichick. What do you see about that in terms of that matchup?
Oh, two smart coaches going at it. Game planning against each other, seeing what works, what not. Belichick likes to take away whatever Patrick Mahomes likes to do and make him beat him other ways.
Right.
So we're going to have to do that. And if we play good defense and he don't get carried away and just take whatever Belichick gives him, we'll be fine. But if he tries to do too much, and our defense are not together, then it's going to be a long game.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that you guys go on the road, NFC North. I don't know exactly the order as far as right now is concerned, but I see you go to Green Bay, play the Packers. Not really sure what we're going to get with Jordan Love. We don't know exactly what's going to come with that package. We don't know exactly what they're going to look like. I do know that they got this wide receiver from the draft, Reed. You got to watch out for him. You know what I mean? So you got a few options that you never know with Green Bay. And then also from the NFC North, Vikings. What do you see from those two teams? And you already know if it's late in the year, you guys are a cold weather team anyway. You play in Kansas City, so it's cold. But what do you see that? Because again, Minnesota's more in the dome. Green Bay, you already know the frozen tundra. If it is, let's say December, how do you guys get those type of wins on the road? Because those are important. Non-conference away games is pretty much what's going to get you tiebreaker over other teams.
That's the only thing about being Super Bowl champions. You have a tough schedule. Green Bay, as far as them, mainly because they got a good defense. I'm not too worried about Jordan Love, to be honest. I think my main concern would be Aaron Jones. If I'm being honest about it, if we can stop him and slow Jordan Love from running around, we'll be okay. Chicago is all Justin Fields. You got to be able to stop him. That's like dealing with another Lamar Jackson running around, and he's accurate. And once he gets going, his confidence gets going, he's going to be hard to stop. So I kind of fear the Bears a little bit more than I do the Packers, but either game is tough. Cold weather, on the road, is tough.
Yeah, and I like that. Yeah.
We got to be healthy because if we banged up and stuff, you just never know what could go wrong, who get hurt. But
exactly.
If we healthy, I think we can deal with them. But
now, keeping the same theme, I know you guys got a game in Germany against the Dolphins, and then same division, AFC East, you got to play at New York too against the Jets. So those two opponents is not only very important for the non-division records, but also the AFC positioning, and then of course you got a game in Germany that is basically neutral to the point where you got to show up, and you're playing Mr. Tyreek Hill, Cheetah himself. So how do you see those playing out?
Oh, man, I seen a lot of beefing between, well, not beefing, but chattering between Snead and Hill, going back and forth on line. So it looks like they both up to the task now. Hopefully Snead, he be sometimes having injuries, so hopefully he be healthy for that game. It should be a good game. It should be a real good game. And they set that Jets game up on purpose so that Mahomes and Rodgers.
That's how they're playing it out. That's how they're promoting it.
Oh, man. The Jets are already – they was good last year. The only thing they needed was a quarterback. So, oh, man. We just got to see. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, we got to see.
And then running back the Jets had, he got hurt. But
year.
And that year, he was on a roll. And, so he should be coming back sometime this year. And,
oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, the running back from Iowa State. Bryce.
I can't remember his name, but.
Yeah. He got hurt. Exactly. They would have probably picked up a few more wins because he was doing very well. Actually, I had him on my fantasy team.
Yeah, he He was on his
The
way.
other game that actually is an interest for me is you guys actually travel to Jacksonville this year. And that might, honestly, I think that might be a preview of a wild card game, assuming that you guys don't get the number one seed, which,
Right.
I mean, again, give or take, you got a few guys there, a few teams, Baltimore,
Right.
Bengals, see how that plays out. Jets, we don't know. Those type of teams. Because, the AFC South is going to be all based on who's going to outlast the other team. So the Jaguars can be one of those teams that outlast the Titans, the Colts, which are probably going to be better. Texans defense looks pretty good now, obviously. We'll see what they do with C.J. Stroud. But how do you see you guys in terms of that rematch? Because you know the Jaguars, when they're walking off that field, they're turning around. Trevor Lawrence is looking back like, okay, you had us this time.
Right.
But I'm going to remember that red and white.
That's another matchup. Yeah, that's another matchup in itself. And I think with the Jaguars, they're a young group.
Mm-hmm.
So by them seeing that, they are hungry.
Yeah.
They're going to be, and Doug Peterson going to, coming from the Andy Reid tree, he's going to know how to readjust to what happened in that last.
Exactly.
And so, like I said, we got a tough schedule. That's going to be a tough game. I don't know. Like you said, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know that as of yet, but again, for me, if you're going to tell me 8 opponents and you kind of line these up, Patriots, Jets, Jaguars, Vikings, Packers, Dolphins, I'm looking at it like, okay, of all of those, how many of those can you say, oh, that's an easy win, besides maybe Packers where we don't know? The other ones, I mean, you just never know.
Right.
It could easily be a win. It could easily be a blowout that you blow them out.
Right.
But again, that's what I think, for where I'm seeing everything going. I think, again, just kind of like what I was saying last year, even though the Eagles were a great story, even though they had all of the whole, media about Jalen Hurts and everything going on, the champion came out of the AFC, and, where everybody saw it. Well, why did they come out of the AFC? Well, they ended up beating the Bengals in the AFC Championship. Eagles got the Niners when they were wounded. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to take anything away from Philadelphia because they deserve all the credit for getting there. But again, I think in the AFC is more of a conversation of, well, I could literally tell you about 6 teams, and they could sit here and be like, I wouldn't be surprised if they get there, at least in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
in the NFC this year, again, I might be looking at maybe 3 that I can say I'll put a check mark.
I can say right off the bat.
Right.
In the AFC, Buffalo, like you said, Cincinnati.
Exactly, Buffalo. I forgot about Buffalo. I always forget about Buffalo.
Surprising team, though. Somebody's going to surprise. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's going to be.
It's going to be the Raiders, man.
They could be. It could be. It's going to be a team nobody except the regular fans that like that team. They're going to come out of nowhere. I think Detroit is going to be a lot better.
I really like what Detroit did. Besides, obviously, the controversial pick with Gibbs, as far as why did they get him? Well, it made sense because they obviously traded DeAndre Swift to the Eagles. But this kid is unbelievable. We watched him a few times together. The speed. So I was actually watching a highlight. I want to tell you what he reminds me of. I don't want to say the player. There was a play in the LA Coliseum. Bo Jackson. It was a handoff on the 5-yard line, right? And it was against the Bengals, the old school Bengals.
Yep.
And he broke on the left-hand side, and he got to the edge so fast that he hit this gear that it wasn't like he was going to second gear, third gear, fourth gear. No, he was already first to fourth, and he was gone.
He was gone.
And that's what I'm saying. This kid's speed, from what I've seen in college, again, I don't want to give him too much because I got to see him play a game first. Gibbs has that ability. As far as what I've seen in college, he has that acceleration.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. I would like to see a game, but for what I seen on film in college, that was a good pick by them.
Yeah.
You couldn't go wrong with it.
Can't go
If you
wrong.
catch out the
Exactly.
backfield, like you said, one speed, he gone.
Right. Well, I saved the best for last, man, because I'm just gonna sit back. I want to hear you talk because it seems like AFC right now, with all due respect to Buffalo Bills, I know I forgot you in the conversation earlier. Prove to me that I'm wrong, but AFC is either going through Cincinnati or Kansas City right now. So New Year's Eve, last day of the 2023 year, Cincinnati Bengals in Kansas City. What do you like, man? Because there we go. Here's another round. Right before the playoffs, too. Woo!
Man, we going to dust them off, man. we have to. I think we got to have that same mentality we had when we played them in the playoffs because we was mad the year before because we knew we should have beat them, but a few mistakes and we lost. So they're going to come back mad. So we got to come back with that same hunger, that same drive. And I know we'll be okay, especially being at home. We should be okay. So
I like that. I like that.
Just keep our fingers crossed, especially on health. Healthy is the key.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to end it off like this, man. First of all, cheers, man. Appreciate you being on the show.
Brother.
Cheers to Dee Thomas, everybody. And again, stay tuned for the September show. I'm bringing him back on. We're going to talk about the schedule breakdown and predictions as far as what he sees. I'm not going to put the man on the spot right now. I'm not going to ask him, but I'm going to get a little bit. I'm going to tease you a little bit. Here's my question to you, and I'm going to leave it at this. To get to the Super Bowl, I'm only talking Super Bowl, okay? I'm not talking repeat, but get to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
What percentage do you give them? 0 through 100.
With the schedule we got, oh man, I would say right now 85%.
Okay, 85%. That's pretty good.
Stay healthy. We definitely got to have our quarterback because he was banged up in the playoffs. Unbelievable. I don't know how we can't have that in the regular season, because he will sit out and stuff like that. So, I'm kind of interested who's going to. We know the backup on how they're going to do, because we were so used to, hitting coming in and doing this thing, but so everything is new. So hopefully we won't have to use the backup. But
absolutely. All right, folks, you heard it here, 85%.
Right now.
85%. And I just want to let everybody know this recording was done in May. And all I'm going to say is, as of right now, the lines haven't changed. Kansas City Chiefs are still the favorite to win the 2024 Super Bowl. So you're still number one. We're gonna, in September, we're going to go over that line as well, and we'll break it down. But for now, man, appreciate you. Bonding over beers. Shout out to Dee Thomas. Everybody check him out. His Instagram. Man is making funny TikToks. One of the realest I've ever met. Shout out Baltimore, the entire family. You already know. And I'm gonna tease you guys. There's somebody in this man's family that will be on the show later, and I guarantee you're gonna flip your lid, especially if you are a active college football fan and a NFL fan. You know this man as soon as I tell you his name. I'm gonna go ahead and let that linger. Shout out, appreciate it, man. We'll be right back.
Pleasure, brother.
Welcome back to the show. Sporting Crashers Podcast, Eric Martinez. Up next on the Bonding Over Beers segment, you got my boy, or them boys, representative. We're over here in Dallas, Texas, so why not have one of the biggest Dallas Cowboys fans that I know, Joseph Hernandez. Appreciate you being on the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. I know at this time right now, we just got done with the draft. We got done with free agency, so, we're going to talk a little Cowboys football and expectations for the year. Listen, man, can't go after Jerry Jones. That's a topic that, it can go back and forth. So I'm gonna start it off because one question I had is, what do you think status-wise for Mike McCarthy? What do you think's the level as far as what he needs to accomplish to be deemed a successful season?
Oh man, he needs a whole lot to go his way. I think Coach McCarthy has done a good job getting us into the tournament. going 13-5, 13-5 back to back. But now he's doing the play calling, so this year is going to be he's going to be kind of tested. I don't think his job will be on the line just as yet. I think he will still have a couple of more years to go, but I think this year is going to have to be big to him. So he got to prove for what he got.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I read a stat the other day that kind of took me by surprise. Since 2021, no other team has scored more points per game than the Dallas Cowboys. So the firepower in terms of scoring per game is there. Now, we can kind of turn our attention to Dak Prescott in terms of how do you see everything kind of working out as far as restructuring maybe the offensive line, getting him a few key weapons. What do you see as far as Dak is concerned?
I think Dak's going to have to focus on taking care of the ball. He threw so many interceptions, 19 interceptions last year. I think that he needs to hopefully go into this offseason and work more on fixing that. And no telling, man. We're telling how this front line's going to work. No telling how these wide receivers are going to work out. But, he's a guy that could turn it on, but also is a guy that if he can't turn it on, he can't turn it on.
You're right.
There's a lot of pressure going on that's going to be on him this year too as well. But I think with the pieces we got that we put together, I think we'll be just fine. But we just got to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of covering one of his events, the Beacon of Hope event in Dallas, Texas at the Omni. Got a chance to kind of listen to his story and everything that he kind of went through in 2020.
Yeah.
And just everything that he's been through and being an advocate of mental health. So even though I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan, I can definitely always say that I am a Dak Prescott fan. So hopefully, in terms of success, it shows that, a good person deserves, to be where he needs to be in terms of at least giving the hope for the Dallas Cowboys fans to get farther than you guys have gotten the last 2 years. Let me ask you a question real quick. I know I'm going to kind of slide off of what we were talking about before, but last 2 years, eliminated by the Niners. What's it about the Niners play style that, I don't want to bring it up, but what's it about that team? Because let me tell you the truth. If the Cowboys are going to get to the promised land or at least to the NFC Championship, we already know in the division the Eagles, but the Niners right there are that team in the NFC that what's it about them that it's really hurting you guys?
Man, I'll tell you what, man, it was like reverse. Well, the first time we played them was those crazy penalties. And that we just couldn't stop them. It was just too much. And, so that's, we beat ourselves in that game. And then the second time we played them, same thing. We just couldn't score on them, but we held them. But if you look at what we did in the draft, right. We the way they went defense and picking up the first round pick and Mozzie Smith, I mean, getting guys that could were predicated our draft to playing these guys like the Niners, Philly, Detroit. Yep. So, man, some reason I don't know what it is about the Niners, man. It's really, really, really tough talking about that. But I do think next year we'll get them.
Completely understand. Absolutely. That's one thing, when I see as far as I look at the Niners for years now. I mean, you can go back to the Candlestick when they were playing at Candlestick Park and they made that run to the Super Bowl against the Ravens. They always had a physical team, right? Defensively, you know what I mean? You got the Patrick Willis, you got, so many players that they had that were just completely Navarro Bowman. I mean, physically, there wasn't too many teams that were, as far as being able to just flat out run all over them. So I think Mozzie Smith, great pickup. I kind of want to ask you a question on this because I was kind of reading a few things at the draft. You pick up Mozzie Smith. What do you do with Micah Parsons? Do you still keep him at the outside line, or do you get greedy and say, hey, I'm gonna throw him on the defensive end, more of an edge rusher off the side? I mean, he's a switchblade, so you know what I'm saying. He could do Swiss Army knife. He could do pretty much anything. So, how do you see fit with that now that you got a run stopper?
Man, that's a good question. I think that, he's going to have to play. I think you do put him on the line still. And the fact that he added more muscle to this
Yeah,
offseason, I
yeah,
think that's what he did this year because he knew he's going to play inside the line. I think now that with the pressure he puts on and with Amazi Smith coming in and stopping the run, I think that it's going to be it's going to be really fun seeing these guys on the field because I think we ain't going to get gashed like we always
yep.
do. Teams always find the way to run the ball and punch us in our gut, and man, it just gets annoying, especially towards the end of the season. So I think you put them on the line and you make that line more destructive than what it
Hmm.
is. So we'll see what happens.
All right, so yeah, want to keep. I want to ask a question on still staying on the defensive side of the ball. Cornerbacks now, pretty good depth. You guys make that trade for Stephon Gilmore. Still got Diggs. You guys lose out on Anthony Brown. I know he leaves. In terms of what do you see? How do you see them matching up? Because there are some pretty good wide receivers in the NFC East. So how do you see that matching up? And again, as far as the depth that you guys might need to lock down a few of those wide receivers.
Man, I think we got the right guys to lock down these wide receivers, man. I think that it's compared to last year, instead of us jumping to this guy, and this
Hmm.
guy, I think we have the right pieces. Dan Quinn's coming
Hmm.
back. He was good at figuring things out. I'm glad we got Stephon Gilmore. It's going to be a big
Yeah.
help. But another guy that nobody doesn't recognize was Israel
Yep.
Akwamu.
Kwamu. Hmm.
That guy was pretty good and he was really solid. So with him, hopefully we'll put him to cover the slot and have Stephon and Diggs and I think Diggs is good and he didn't have that 11 interception season, but I think at times I think this year is going to be a good year for him too. I know that he has some misses and tackling issues, but I think he's a good
Yeah.
corner, and he's gonna have to step up because these wide receivers coming in, man, they're just small, faster,
Yep.
bigger, and sometimes he could get burned, sometimes he can miss a tackle, and but I'm pretty sure that we're going to be more in better shape than we were last year. So I'm excited to see what's going to
It's going
happen
to be good
this
matchups.
season.
Yeah, I agree. I think as far as at least the secondary, going to definitely be um, a lot more in depth. The depth chart. Man, let's quit this shit, man. Let's see. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you this question, man, because I know as soon as this happened, I was like, I got to get your opinion. Kellen Moore goes to the
All right,
LA Chargers. I'm always used to calling them San Diego Chargers, but
me too.
Mike McCarthy obviously is going to take over more of the play calling. You still have Brian Schottenheimer still there that is going to be that analyst and advisor. What do you see with the offense this year? I mean, Dalton Schultz leaves, but you guys draft the rookie Schoonmaker from Michigan. You guys got a few good tools, and then you make that trade from Brandon Cooks, man. What do you see? What do you like?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Mike McCarthy calls on that,
Mm-hmm.
man. High, offensive power. That's going to be slinging it. I know Kellen, man. Kellen must look at it like it was Madden or something. I got Dak, I got
Right.
Zeke. But I don't know what to expect this year. I think that Mike McCarthy is gonna air it out
Yep.
more. And I think he's gonna, you're gonna see Dak throw more and more passing yards than the handoff,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna have a different style to it. Schottenheimer, I don't really know what to expect from
Yeah.
him. I really don't know what I'm going to get out of him, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he got. So it can't be as bad as Kellen, and not to say Kellen's a good
Right. It just didn't
coordinator,
fit. It
but
didn't fit. Over time,
it just didn't
yep, I
fit.
agree. 100%.
Nah, just didn't fit. And then, but kudos to Kellen, but we'll see we'll see we'll see what they're going to do this year. But I do think Mike McCarthy we're going to be having to air out the ball a little bit more. But I think, we'll just have to wait and see because last time we did that, we all know what happened to Dak,
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Who's your most impactful from the draft? Who you like of all those guys that can come right away, game one, given that chance?
Man, I like several of them, man. I'm just gonna go with my boy Mozzie Smith, man. I know he's gonna be ready to get
He's going to
plugged
get a lot of
in
playing time.
and be
Yeah.
ready. Oh yeah, he's gonna be able to stop that
Right.
run. The Cowboys haven't really drafted a guy like him, since I can't remember. But it's finally about time that they went this route, But I am excited. I'm also excited about my boy from Texas,
Overshawn. Yep.
That guy,
Inside linebacker. Yep.
that guy can inside linebacker. He could come in and sack the quarterback if he needs to. He could cover good, and he has that speed and power. So, but like I said, I think this draft was predicated towards hanging with these offenses, the Niners, the Eagles, the Lions.
Got to.
You're gonna run into these guys.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. So let me ask you a question. Typically, you've seen more of a balanced attack with, obviously, we had, you guys had Ezekiel Elliott. So let's say he's out of the picture. Obviously, we don't know exactly what's happening with that right now. But Tony Pollard, the feature back, gets the franchise tag. You bring in Jones from the Chiefs, right? And then you draft Deuce Vaughn. So all of a sudden, from Kansas State. So all of a sudden, you guys convert from you already knowing that Zeke is going to get the majority of carries. How do you see the running schematic? Is it by association or by committee, or are you saying Pollard gets the most, and then we'll see how it kind of goes with the other two, fight out for who gets more touches?
I got a feeling Pollard's going to get more touches, and then it's going to be either the other two running backs, either Deuce Vaughn or, the guy from the Chiefs. I think it's going to have to come down, but I think majority of it is going to be Pollard,
Yep.
But you never know what I'm going to get out of Pollard because Pollard, broke his leg last season. So we don't know. But, the only thing that also concerns me about the running back position is that, Zeke was able to pick up those blitz.
Right.
And that's the
That's
only
an
thing
underrated part of his game, bro. That's what really well said.
Yeah,
He's been doing that since Ohio State. He's very good at knowing where to block. That's true.
Yes, and he knows how to take him down, and man, he knows how to pick up a blitz. He can pick up a blitz, But I just feel like Pollard's going to get the majority of these touches. I think he's, and if he splits them, I think it might just be Vaughn. I think he's going to split him with Vaughn because Vaughn has that speed, and breakout speed, but you never know, We'll see what happens. See how they're going to utilize these guys.
He's a really, I wouldn't even say underrated anymore. I'd say during the season when they would talk about Deuce Vaughn, Kirk Herbstreit, shout out to Herbie, he made a very good comment about Deuce Vaughn. He's very underrated catching out of the backfield.
Yes.
And one thing he said is his level of concentration of where he puts his hands, wherever he puts them, he'll catch that ball, if it's high, middle, or low. And the crazy part is he doesn't really change gears. He'll do that running 100 miles per hour. He still has the concentration. So really cool story. Really like the fact that, he got a chance to basically be a part of his family's team. So, getting that opportunity, I think is going to be great for him. I think you guys got a special team. For me, most impactful only because I know what Mozzie Smith is going to be able to do. That's going to be more of, let's see how the defense reacts. But in terms of, if given the chance, special teams to the house, kick returns, punt returns, I think Deuce Vaughn definitely is that guy.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I said that to myself. I was like, I think he'll get some touches, but I think he's going to see more action. To me, now that you say that, I think he's going to see more action on the special teams. Kick returning. He's going to be a traits. Yeah. A jack of all trades. Exactly. So, I can't wait to see this kid play, man. He's fast and speed. Yeah. He can catch the ball out of space. He can beat you. But I think overall, man, he's going to be a great, switchblade for us. Exactly. But I do feel like he's going to be a special teamer.
It's a good fit for you guys. I think that I
Oh
think
yeah,
drafting him it kind of marks a lot of the boxes, checks a lot of the boxes of guys that you were looking for that can fit that mold. And I mean, you know more than anybody when you guys get those little third and fourth and everybody's coming and Dak needs that safety blanket. Hey, why not to go to him? Uh,
exactly.
Interested in hearing who are you? I don't want to say scared of, but who's your most concern of the three teams right now in the NFC East?
I think I think it's Philly, man. I mean, I don't think it's Philly. It has to be
Philly?
Philly. You know,
Yeah.
you see what they drafted and what they did in the
Yeah.
draft. You know, we play them twice a year. You know, and these guys, I mean, they're always tough to beat, man. Especially now where they are now. I mean, they did for the last couple of years. They have built a very good football team. And good kudos to them. You know, them guys, they made it all the way, and they beat the Niners like it was nothing. So, but and another team that that I'm really concerned about, besides the Eagles, is Detroit.
You're right.
I think Detroit's going to have a good
I think so
season.
too.
Something about Detroit is just kind of like Leary. Like there's going to be that annoying team that ain't going to go away that easy. But we'll see what happens and see how that pans out. But yeah, I think most concern is Philly, So and plus I can't stand Philly. So.
Yeah.
I've been at war
I mean,
since I was little, man.
No, I hear
war
you.
continues on, man.
Yeah, that's going to be the key matchup. Also, I got a lot of friends and family that are in New York, so be careful of those big blue New York Giants. My only concern with the Giants is I'm not exactly sure if they can have the type of season where they had last year. Now, they were good. Can they show me that they can continue to develop on the offensive side of the ball? They've gotten some good key pieces, but defensively, that's where they lack sometimes. They're so close in the game. Late in the third, they go like 3 touchdowns unanswered. I'm like, what's going on? You trying to be taken seriously? What's going on?
I think the Giants are gambling off of a Daniel Jones 2020, 2022 season.
Right.
They paid him a good, I think he got a contract.
Got a big contract. You got a lot of money.
Yeah. And, and I'm like thinking to myself, is he really going to be that? But he has gotten better. Yeah. But I just don't see Big Blue there just yet. I see them, being a good playoff team. I mean, they could be in a playoff run, but I just don't see them being there yet. I think they took a gamble on Daniel Jones because what he did this last season, he did pretty good and solid, but nothing. I feel like Big Blue's a threat.
Right.
So and I know we open up the first season against them. So,
yeah.
I mean. It could go either way. We just wait and see. I think they did good. Saquon is pretty good. Still he haven't lost his step. Injuries preventing him from being on the field the majority of the time.
Exactly.
The wide receivers, I don't know what to expect from them, but I just know that we'll be ready.
Yeah, they got
it's week 1.
They got my boy Darren Waller, so you got to be careful with him. Now his problem is durability. Yeah. Can he stay healthy? If he does, I mean. Let me tell you, as a former Raider and somebody that I really admired for the last few years, how he came out of nowhere quietly, I want to see him succeed. I don't know if he's going to be able to stay on the field for all of the games, though. That's my only concern because
that was the tight end, right, for y'all guys? That was the tight end? Yeah, I remember he killed the Cowboys last time.
Yeah, Yeah, so he got traded, and then we picked up Michael Mayer, the rookie from Notre Dame, because we let Foster Moreau go because he was going through the treatment for leukemia. So I'm not so sure about my Raiders, man. As much as I'm positive, I got to see how Jimmy G kind of develops. But it's also, I keep on telling everybody, we haven't really seen Jimmy G since the NFC Championship game a few years ago. You know what I mean? So
man, and I feel like y'all got Jimmy G still has him, man. Like that guy, he can still sling it and pick apart a good defense. So, I mean, I won't count Jimmy G out, man. I think y'all guys got a good quarterback.
No, exactly. I'm definitely giving him a chance. I mean, I've given Derek Carr a lot of chances. So, and shout out to DC. Go ahead and do your thing in New Orleans. But I gave DC a lot of time. And, you know, with all due respect, I do think Derek Carr is a great man. Didn't like the way that the Raiders did it and handled the situation, but wish him nothing but the best. So let me just kind of go over a few opponents on the road because, you know, you got to take care of the games at home. That's no doubt about it. You want to make playoffs and get top seed, got to take care of it. But here's a few of your away opponents. So one of them, you go to Arizona, Cardinals. Okay, you never really know, but they got a little bit better defensively. I just don't think that they have what it takes. The one I really want to see, and I'm our listeners, subscribers that are listening to right now, we are actually discussing this before the NFL schedule does drop. So make sure that you understand we don't know the order that the Dallas Cowboys are going to play these teams, but they are going to play in Buffalo against the Bills. That one I can definitely see as a Sunday night, early Sunday morning game, that afternoon kickoff game. You never really know.
Yeah. Man, I hope it's in like an early in
the season,
September. Or, early in the season, like a
don't be there in December.
Maybe October. Yeah, because I don't want to be there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's gonna be a tough. That's a tough place to play at, man. Especially the football team they got. I think last time in Buffalo, Tony Romo managed to pull something out of his ass.
Remember that. I remember that.
It was a weird game. We should have lost that game.
I remember that.
It was a bizarre game, and I still remember that game. But yeah, that's not going to be an easy road game right there for us. You know, especially going against the AFC East. That's going to be a tough division. You know.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, it's going to be exciting, man, as long as we ain't there in late December. You know?
Exactly. So the next two, I'm kind of interested in seeing how it plays out. But one of them, you go to Carolina, play the Panthers. Depending on what happens with Bryce Young, obviously it looks like he's probably going to be the starter. But then you got to go, again, I don't know with what particular order you got to play in L.A. against the Chargers. Those are two tough teams. Those are two ascending teams. I mean, Chargers were in the playoffs. They had that debacle against the Jaguars. Now that they got Jackson healthy, lockdown corner, I think that's last time you guys were there, you beat them though. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's, man, playing against the Rams is tough, man. Playing against the Rams are always tough, you know, and you don't know what I'm going to get. You know, you don't know what you're going to get playing against those guys. Those guys are tough. The corner that I see that, you know, that you're talking about is, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I really can't say what's going to happen when we play those guys, but I just know that it's going to be a good game when we play them, you know. So we'll just have to wait and see what that's going to take us.
Yeah, your strength of schedule is pretty hard, man, because the next ones that I see, you guys got to play Dolphins in Miami, and then you got to play Niners in San Francisco. I mean, that's pretty tough 9-road game. I mean, of those, I can see like guaranteed you're going to win. I hate saying guarantees, but I think you're going to pull it off against the Cardinals, and I'm almost certain your defense is going to somehow shut down the Panthers. Now, the other ones, hit or miss.
Yeah, it's always a hit and miss, and you don't know who's going to get hot and towards the end of the schedule and who's not, you know. So, you know, I know we got the Niners on the Sunday night. I'm excited about that game. I'll be ready for that game.
That's going to be a good one.
And that's going to be a good one. And, you know, I want to see, you know, the Cowboys beat the Jets, and not only the Jets, Aaron Rodgers. So that's one team. We can't beat the Jets, and we can't beat Aaron Rodgers. So hopefully kill two birds with one stone with the Jets and Aaron. But yeah, man, this schedule is not going to be easy, man. It's not going to be easy.
It's difficult.
It's going to be a headache, but it's going to be fun though, man. And I'm just can't wait to see how it's all going to pan out at the end. So we'll see. That's what banking on Mike McCarthy and Dak and all these schemes that they're going to put together. Hopefully, it all comes together at the end and get us into the tournament. So
perfect, man.
See what happens.
Yeah. Well, look, bro, I appreciate you being on the show, man. Bonding over beers. Want our listeners to know we are about to bring back the Brotherhood. They're about to be back in September for the season preview. We're going to break down the season. We're going to break down the teams, how they look after training camp, right before kickoff. And at that time, we're going to make our predictions for records and playoffs. Right now, I'm going to throw something at you right before you go. Shout out to Dee Thomas. He actually was on the show before talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, so I threw him a little curveball. I'm going to throw you one in regards to the Cowboys and Dak Prescott, okay? Dak Prescott has a playoff record of 2-4, okay? 6 games he's played, he's won 2. This year, how many wins in the playoffs do you see him reaching? 0, 1, 2, 3. I mean, hey. And this is before we obviously know, but, sometimes you just got to go with that gut. What you thinking?
You saying in the playoffs, a playoff game?
How many
playoff games?
How many playoff games is he going to win this year?
Ooh, man. You know what, man? That AFC game, the AFC game, the NFC East champion. I'm stumbling on my words. The NFC championship game. I think that's depending on where they're at. I'm just going to go 3.
Okay.
I'm going to go 3.
Okay.
And I'm going to do this. My prediction is all the Cowboys fans wants to go to the Super Bowl.
Sure.
I understand that, but, I just want to get to the NFC East, the NFC championship game. And if we could do that, man, that could give me some confidence. So I'm just going to roll with 3.
Okay. All right. Everybody listen here. Listeners, subscribers. Joseph Hernandez, big damn boys fans. He's going with 3 wins for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys this year. I'm going to tell you right now, right before I go in this segment, I do have a new NFC East champion. I'm not going to reveal it until September, but I will say this. Don't hate me, Philadelphia. Don't hate me. But I'm going based off of history, and I'm going based off of records, and I'm going based off of what I see. Does not mean that the Eagles will not make the playoffs. It does not mean that Eagles might not have a chance to win the Super Bowl. I am going to leave you on a cliffhanger, so we'll tune in next time in September when we kind of go over all that. But for now, appreciate you, Joseph. Thanks for coming up on the show, man. Really appreciate you.
Cheers,
Shout
brother.
out. Good luck on the season. Absolutely. We'll talk soon. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Listeners, welcome back. It's your boy Eric Martinez, host of the Sporting Crashers podcast with the Bonding Over Beers section. And here is my cousin from Boston, Kyle Barber, representing the New England Patriots. What's going on, man? Pleasure to have you on the show.
Oh, not much. It's a pleasure to be on this show, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. All right, man. So I want to kind of get right into it. A little bit of the recap of the draft and a little bit of the free agency that you guys got going. But first and foremost, before we talk about any of that, what's your expectation of your defense? Because I know you guys went pretty heavy on defense. Five defensemen picked, and then of course you went line mostly too with the draft. What are you looking at in terms of the free agency that you guys bolstered with the Patriots?
Well, man, we definitely needed it. Looking at, our division this year alone, huge division. We ranked 8 last year. Our biggest problem through the first 9 games was stopping the run. That was our biggest problem, letting up, I think, to a total one game. I think we let up 190 yards rushing, which is, we can't have that in the NFL. So I think it was a great approach in the draft. Definitely Christian Gonzalez. I personally feel, a little biased, obviously, but I feel like that was the steal of the draft. We had Miles Bryant back there last year. Man, he was horrible. That was one of the signings this year on the defense that I personally was like, what the heck are we doing? Why are we bringing this man back? He got toasted. So we needed a player like Christian Gonzalez that could fill J.C. Jackson's his position. We didn't have that tall cornerback in the back. We didn't have that man that, could shut down a number 1 receiver. We expected a lot out of our rookies last year on the edge as well. So I think that was a huge pickup. Keon White, another edge rusher. Our defensive line is already looking very stacked. Um, a big thing in the NFL, obviously, is having depth. Being able to rotate players
Yeah,
in and out. You shouldn't have your players out there playing
too
80,
long.
90% of the
Exactly.
snaps. It's just not going to happen. You need stamina. So I think our defense is going to be looking good. Like I said, man, we were ranked 8th last year. We had 14 interceptions, a +7 turnover differential. With our struggles on offense, we still ended in the positive. Jack Jones, we need him to stay healthy and stay out of trouble. I never really got into everything that happened to him and our old
Yeah.
punter, how he ended up getting suspended and whatnot. So that was a big thing with drafting him. That's why he fell last draft was, because of his
Yeah, the
discipline
off-field.
issues and coming to the
Mm-hmm.
Patriots. You know how that works. So
Yep.
I'm feeling pretty good about our defense,
Okay.
man. It's just that middle that we really need to focus on.
Well, the reason I ask about the defense, because I want to get your opinion before we get into Mac Jones, but I want to get your opinion on what your division did in terms of newcomers, signings, and things like that, offensively and defensively. How do you see that AFC East?
Man, that AFC East is
Mm-hmm.
stacked. Just alone, Aaron Rodgers. I'll go into that a
Yeah,
little later. That's huge for the Jets. You saw how the Jets drafted last year. They looked good last year. We know how to play the Jets,
that's
though.
true.
Bill he's got the Jets down to a T. Look what we did to him last year. And also, it comes into play that we picked off, man, I can't even think of his name. He's in the past. Wilson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A little blonde haired boy. We picked him off like 4 times one game. Played great defense.
Mm-hmm.
Just knew what they were gonna do. But Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. Tua. Hopefully Tua can recover from his injuries last year. It's gonna be a strong division, man. I don't know what's gonna happen, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
it's funny. We when I was looking at a lot of the primetime games for the schedule. By the way, listeners that are listening here, I got Barber on. Kyle Barber representing New England Patriots. This recording at this time, we actually got the NFL schedule out. So the past 2 recordings,
yep.
it was just the opponents for teams. So we'll break down a little bit of the schedule a little bit later. But the teams that I've been watching that are a lot of primetime games, a lot of them are AFC either division games or one of the division team is playing another major team. So I think you guys got a lot of primetime games this year.
Yeah, we got a couple. Jets definitely picked up a lot.
Yeah.
People are really looking at the Jets this
Yeah.
year, so that'll be exciting to see. The Jets are going to Jets, though, at the end of the day. So,
All right,
I'm
I
just
like it.
hoping on that.
I like it. We're in Mayo and we're already
Of
talking about it.
course,
Let's
of
do it.
course.
So real quick, man, thoughts
Yep.
on what does Mac Jones need to do to have that breakout year? That breakout year, that verbiage you already know. People always say, "Well, what does a breakout year mean?" What are you expecting as far as
Yep.
how does he reach that, or what does he need to do?
Well, it first starts looking comfortable, man. He looked so off last year, and he has his valid excuses. Matt Patricia does not belong running an offense.
Absolutely not.
He's a great defensive coordinator, but just throw him out first year with a second-year quarterback. He made the playoffs first year, had a good year, didn't do anything special, didn't do anything that could cost games. Last year, man, he did not look like he was comfortable at all. His decision-making was all over the place. He was making terrible decisions at the absolute worst times possible. Blown games, throwing interceptions. Obviously that injury didn't help versus the Ravens. This year is huge for him. What he needs to show is leadership, obviously, showing that he can command the field, command the offense, and just looking like he belongs there. Not looking so confused, not looking uncomfortable, not, standing in the pocket and freaking out and, throwing it away, making horrible decisions. So this is a huge year for Mac Jones. Just like any player, third year, definitely if you struggled your second year, first year, made the playoffs, good year. Got routed first round by the Bills, so people forget we made the playoffs. But this is going to come down to this is going to be a make or break year for him to show if he belongs in the league.
No, absolutely.
As a starter,
absolutely agree with you. I'm going to segment off that. Actually, that's a good way to go to the next question. So in the draft, one of my sleepers the entire time that I saw before the draft even started, late in the 5th, 6th rounds, you start kind of looking who's a value pick that you guys can get. And I always said that if
Yep.
you get a wide receiver that's been battle tested, usually that plays in the SEC, you're going to get somebody that's ready to play big time games. You guys drafted in the 6th round.
Absolutely.
You guys got from LSU, Keyshawn Butte. Tell me a little bit about him and in terms of how it fits in your team, your offense, and then the wide receiver core that you guys got, including picking up Juju Smith-Schuster from the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep. Kayshawn, man, I mean, he killed it his freshman year at LSU. Led the team, reception yards, everything. Just the thing that really killed him was that ankle injury. I think he took junior year, I think it was. And, you know, a big problem with him with why a lot of teams left him off, not only because of the injury, was, man, he had problems with coaching. People are worried about him. So best team, best coach you can possibly go to, Bill Belichick. Hopefully he can, you know, help steer him, help him, you know, reach his full potential. But, you know, it's a low risk, high reward.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
We need tall receivers. So going with a 6th round pick to pick up this guy who was projected a 1st round, you know, I mean, look how we've done with it. We took a 1st round N'Keal Harry. How'd that work out for us?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's good that he's a 6th round pick. He has a lot of potential within our offense. We need that big man out there.
That's right.
With speed as well. So, because Kendrick Bourne, you know, great receiver, agile, quick. He ain't that big. Tyquan Thornton, tall, quick, skinny. You know, he fits in. We need a receiver like that. I mean, obviously Juju. You know how Juju is. I think everyone does that's listening to this. So
yeah,
I think he can fit in. You know, maybe a 4th, 5th receiver, get some time out there. But we'll see. We'll see how he does in training camp, see how he fits in with the team, see if he can hold his temper and be willing to be coached. You know, there's always room for improvement. That's a big thing with him.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of young wide receivers, man. So going into training camp and then preseason games, maybe not necessarily the preseason games that you're going to see Mac Jones a lot, but all of those off-field workouts and getting that chemistry is going to be big, especially with a young wide receiver core. And then bringing some guys that are vets, like, hey, this is pretty much how I play. This is what I can bring to the team and the offense. So I think it's going to be big for Mac Jones for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, our offense, you know, we stacked up on defense, but our offense is looking pretty good. I mean, we lost some key players, but I think we can definitely get it going this year, much better than last year. I mean, with Bill O'Brien as well, coming from Alabama, that's huge.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, he didn't do too good as a head coach in Houston,
right?
But, you know, he's coming from the system that Mac Jones just came from.
Right.
Hopefully that'll help him. You know, another big problem last year. I don't mean to go back to this, but I have to.
No, it's fine, man.
With the Matt Patricia thing.
Yeah, I think everybody was confused
Patricia,
on it, man. So speak on it.
Dude, the one main thing that really hurt me was putting Kendrick Bourne in the doghouse so early in the year. That was our number one wide receiver right there. He created openings. He made the big plays when we needed plays being made, but he wasn't on the field for most of the opportunities. You know, obviously we have Jacoby Myers, great receiver. I'm sorry that the New England Raiders took him from us. But,
we'll take it.
You know, I had to throw it in there once.
I got you.
You guys are signing everyone from us. But we need Kendrick Bourne to pop up this year. Like, we cannot be throwing him in the doghouse. You know, he's always got a good smile on his face. You know, he's always good energy. So
yeah,
man, I really blame Matt Patricia for a lot of that offense with a lot of the struggles, and I feel like I'm allowed to blame him without making excuses. So,
hey, listen, you got every right to say it. I think a lot of people have been saying that. A lot of reporters that not just in New England but all over the league were kind of surprised by that whole decision, and there was really no explanation for it. So yeah, I feel that. Well, speaking of which, we got a lot of listeners. Obviously, I'm pretty sure that they all play fantasy football, right? That's pretty much what we do. We get in our fantasy football right now, and it's never too early to give any type of advice when we're drafting whatever type of league, whatever scoring system that they choose to be in. But what's one of the players from New England that you would say it's got to be a must-have on your fantasy team? Who do you like?
So, if I'm being honest with you, through the years of fantasy, and I think a lot of people can't agree with me, I can't remember, other than Rob Gronkowski, let me just cross that off. I can't remember a Patriots player being like a number 1, number 2 draft pick, because we're so with our
True.
schemes and how our game plans work. Like, great example, like LeGarrette Blount. Say he goes off, has 3 touchdowns one week. You're like, man, he's killing it. He's hot right now. Next week, he won't even touch the field.
Right? Yeah.
It's tough with the
It's true.
Patriots. But if I was to pick a receiver, that's a great flex to have on your bench. Again, Kendrick Bourne, Stevenson. Stevenson's another great running back. I wouldn't, I think you'd belong in the flex area with the Patriots scheme. But those two right there, I think could really help you with a couple weeks. Definitely when you get down the road, when you get into those bye weeks, and your bench starts catching those weeks where everyone just somehow is on the same bye week on your team. So
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'd look at
like
those
that.
two right there.
I like that. Yep. I think I could see that. I mean, late in the rounds, if you're, a lot of people are going to target tight ends pretty early. So, your Kelsey's, your, even Waller from the Giants now playing in that particular offensive scheme.
Yep.
But again, you make some good points, and I think there usually always I'll find a gem with the Patriots that I'll bring that I pretty much will sign to bring in, like you said, a flex or a backup. I mean, throughout the years, there's so many of them, man. So many of them that I always look at, because that's very true that you said, man. In terms of starting wise, first rounders, I'm like, I mean, besides the days of the Randy Moss back in the day, those are obviously, fantasy draft owners that have been playing for a long time. They can remember. Corey Dillon had a huge year for you guys. I remember I took him.
Yep.
I didn't take him in the first, but I ended up getting him. I think it was second round. He slid, and he had a huge year for me. So yeah, that's very true, man. Let me ask you a question, man.
Another big one to even look.
We talk about the NFC East. We talk about, we'll get back to the Aaron Rodgers discussion in a little bit, but who is a player that you see that's coming new to the division that you think about? I'm not saying fear, I'm not saying scared, but you just say the guy can just change a play at any moment.
With the NFC
and,
East?
AFC East.
AFC. Okay. I mean, obviously Aaron Rodgers. Obviously. Man, I can't even just put my name on one of them, to be honest, man. I can't put just one player out there. Everything just started moving so quick with this AFC East. I mean, Bills. I mean, look at Miami. I mean, look at the Jets. I mean, I think the Patriots, realistically, are rated last right now.
That's what I've been looking at right now.
I don't think we've done everything that we need to do to be able to continuously compete. I think we're going into every one of these games having to battle and hopefully scrape out a few, to be honest. The only one that comes to my mind is Aaron Rodgers, to be honest. He's a game changer. I mean, there's a reason he's won so many MVPs. There's a reason when he's on the field they win, He has that winning mentality. So that is truly scary. But it is still early to say, because
right.
I keep going to this as well with our coaching, man. I really I think our coaching this year is going to change a lot of stuff. I think Bill Belichick still has it in him to come up with great game plans and to attack these games from an angle, because he's been playing them for 22 years, 23 years now, and past that before as a head coach. But man, this division is scary. I look forward to this year. Our schedule is super hard, and they matched up those games at perfect times.
Yeah, they actually did.
Definitely for a little battle.
They did a good design on it. I look at it as this, again, I'm just kind of breaking it down what I see right now. Obviously, things might change in September when we're ready to kick off the games. By the way, listeners, we are going to have Kyle Barber back in September for the breakdown of the season.
Of course.
Bonding Over Beers segment. We're going to break it down. We're going to get his actual record predictions for the Patriots. Today, we're not going to tap into that. I'm going to ask a few questions, but he's going to break down what he sees from the schedule and leading up to it after training camp and a few preseason games. But we talked about the defense earlier, right? We talked about how you guys have improved. So kind of explain to me, you always hear the matchups, right? Mac Jones versus Rodgers, Mac Jones versus Tua, Mac Jones versus
Yeah.
Josh Allen. But in reality, it's your defense playing against these big quarterbacks. How do you see your defense as far as how you guys have improved and those pickups that you've gotten to stop each individual quarterback? Again, assuming being healthy, you know what I mean, for your end and then the quarterbacks. And, do you guys have a team that you're just like, you know what, I don't think we're going to be worse than them. I think we can kind of either split or we can take two from them in this division.
Definitely, and I didn't mean to, sound like I'm fully doubting the Patriots. I'm not. I'm really
Oh,
not.
no,
I
not
think
at
our
all, man.
defense does.
No,
Yeah,
I got you.
I think our defense has what it takes. You know what I
Sure.
mean? It's just scary to look at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you having to look at the Chiefs every single year. That's tough.
Two times, man. We haven't
But
got
I
them. We
think our
almost got them
defense
on Monday
has
night.
what it. Yep, definitely did. I
Every
mean,
time we talk about the Chiefs,
Patrick Mahomes is something else. So.
I know, man. Every time I use the word Chiefs, I always talk about almost winning.
Yep, yep, yep. But I think our defense can compete with anyone. I think we have everything we need to stop Josh Allen. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Josh Allen first.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense is spectacular. They are just rolling. I mean, I saw that 2 years ago in the playoff game when Josh Allen scored, I think, 5 touchdowns in a row. Couldn't stop anything. I think we have what it takes. I think we've learned enough about the Bills. I think it's really going to come down to our offense putting up enough points for us to hold them off. I mean, look at our last game last year when they had those 2 kickoff returns. That killed us right there. It didn't give the defense a chance to, you look at that score and you see all those points, you're like, dang, defense didn't do too good. But really, you got to look down into the numbers. Defense did great, stopped them on the 1-yard line. It's just going to really come down to that offense. I think we have everything in our defense to stop the top quarterbacks in this league. Great defensive back. Unfortunately, we lost McCourty, but people are going to retire. People are going to go. You got a next man up mentality. Right. We also drafted a couple defensive backs and cornerbacks as well to add some depth to it. Hopefully, we can scrape something out of one of them.
Yeah, so I like it. I like the committee. I like that kid from Michigan State late in the 6th. I saw him play very well. Amir Speed from Michigan State, Spartan. He's pretty good. So before we do the breakdown, a few of the teams that you guys are going to play early in the schedule, talk that talk. Let me know, man. Put an APB. Let's see what's going on. Mr. Rogers, if you're listening, Jets fans, I want Barber to speak on it. I want him to talk about the signing and the expectation. And again, remember, Jets fans, you guys are looking good on paper, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to execution and what can you guys do offensively that is going to basically get you guys to that promised land, or can you guys stay healthy in that defense side?
Yeah. Like I said, the Jets are going to jet. They're always going to find a way to blow something. That's just who the Jets are. Aaron Rodgers, 38 years old, good quarterback. What's the longevity of it, though? How old do quarterbacks really play?
Be it. This is pretty much it. This is like one, maybe max 2, maybe.
Yep. And what the Jets just trade for this?
The house. They traded the farm.
The house. Yep. They're dumping the house for a Super Bowl. So I think he's got 2-3 years maybe in him. The Jets got to not jet during that time and really make something of it. It does come down to your team winning. It makes more people want to sign with you. The Jets need to do something to turn that franchise around because, man, you think they make a good choice. I mean, I think their best choice in the past decade would be Sauce Gardner. That was huge. Yeah. Huge draft pick.
Absolutely.
I think he killed it. You look at a lot of their draft picks, where are they now? Where are these number 1 picks? Where are these number 2 picks that they've had? Top number 1 picks for the past 8 years? I mean, Jets, Aaron Rodgers, I think they make a little noise in the league, but I don't think it continues a whole 17 weeks. I don't think they have what it takes. I'm just going to be honest too. I'm sorry, Jets fans. I mean, Jets
Hey.
fans hate the Patriots, by the way. I mean, I'm so
Oh
sorry for
yeah, no,
everything
I
we've
know
done
it's
to you.
mutual. I
Ruined
mean,
your
we had
childhood.
our discussions off the camera before. I know we talk about the Jets and the Patriots, 100%. Uh,
Yeah.
uh
Well, I think Aaron Rodgers will definitely do decent, man. But other than that, nothing special, I don't think.
yeah, I
So,
mean, he got some weapons. You know, we talk about Lazard came from the Packers.
yeah.
McCole Hardman. I think that was a good pickup from the Chiefs. Of course, you got your Garrett Wilson. But again, it's paper. It's on paper. I'm not doubting it. I'm just
Yep.
saying it's level of expectation, which is, if you're a Jets fan, it's great to have that level of expectation because you haven't had it, especially with what you had and drafting
Yep.
number two, Zach Wilson. Um, but I'm not convinced, right? I'm also, I look at the Bills and we say, okay, from a Super Bowl contention, it could hit or miss. AFC is pretty difficult, but division, what maybe two teams that can fight at least, depending on what you guys do against them. Maybe you guys split 1-1,
Yep.
and that's that tiebreaker against maybe Dolphins if they're looking pretty good. Speaking of which, you guys start 4 games, 2 games at home, first two games at home against the runner-up, second place last year, Super Bowl, lost
Yeah.
against the Philadelphia Eagles that lost against the Chiefs, and then you got a division opponent, Miami Dolphins. Setting the tone, of course, we always say got to take care of business at home. Then you guys got 2 on the road.
Yep.
Speaking of those Jets, and then you got to go over here to Dallas against them Cowboys. How do you see that playing out? Because
Uh-huh.
the first month is always going to tell you what you can expect possibly for the rest of the season.
Um, really tough schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Really tough game placement. Um, when you see the Patriots, good teams in the past, you see where they start to excel is later in that season.
Sure.
End of October towards, beginning, middle of November is when we really start to find our groove and we really start connecting and just, everything starts coming together that you've been working on. This start of the season, we usually struggle at the beginning of the season.
Sure.
I mean, look at on to Cincinnati. Great
Yeah.
example. Getting routed by the Chiefs the week before. When was that game? Middle of
Mm-hmm.
October? Somewhere. It was around my birthday. I
Yep.
went to it. I made sure, right when I heard we're on to Cincinnati, I bought those tickets from my cousin. I'm like, I need to go to this game.
Mm-hmm.
But man, beginning of the season, that's super tough start. Going first, Eagles coming into town. We're gonna have Tom Brady there, big celebration.
Sure.
We gotta we gotta prove ourselves. We're not good versus running quarterbacks either. We cannot stop the run. So we need to really focus on that. And thank God, having this entire offseason to start preparing for that. We need to find a new way to stop that because that is what the NFL is turning into these days, An honest prediction, if I was to say, through our first 4 games, I think we could scrape out 2 wins. That would be ideal to leave that 4-game stretch 2-2. Just got through a very hard part of our schedule. Now let's utilize what we learned and let's start implementing things that we were struggling at. So you can look at it from both ways. It could be a bad thing or a good thing. Playing good teams to start the year could be a really good thing. Expose us. Expose what we're doing wrong in the first game of the year instead of playing that really good
Right.
team, week 7, 8, 9, getting exposed then. Like, dang, too bad we didn't notice that, earlier down the season. So there's a lot of ways to look at it, but really, really tough beginning of that schedule. And that's because Roger Goodell hates the Patriots.
Man, I mean,
And
yeah, I'm
puppies.
looking on the back end too, and I'm looking at the schedule towards the end of the year. You got the 2 division opponents at the very end, home against the Jets, the last game of the year. Before that, at Buffalo, so that could be something that, like I said, in the event that there might not be a possibility or fighting for a wild card, that's important to try to either split or do something against Buffalo.
We have a tough road schedule this year, definitely. We're going to some hostile
Yeah.
crowds. Obviously, the Bills. That's known fact,
Yeah.
Chargers, Chargers is going to be
Right.
a home game for us, to be honest. So many
Right.
Patriots fans in San Diego. Or not San Diego, but Los Angeles now. We're going to Chiefs. That's going to stink. That's a very hostile crowd, but we play the Chiefs pretty well. I don't remember a time where the Chiefs absolutely routed us in the past 5 years. And maybe towards the end of the game they
Right.
put up some extra, but we always start off good. But man, we're gonna have some tough opponents on the road this year. But I mean,
Yeah.
looking at the
Yeah.
schedule, I'm looking at it right now. Now I'm starting to look at it. Yeah, man. I think look as I look at it, I changed my whole mind. I actually don't think on the road. I think we match up pretty well on the road. Because I was looking at red and
Yes.
blue.
Yes.
No, so we're playing in Pittsburgh. That's a big game. Steelers Pats is always going to be a rivalry. Um, at the Giants, that's always a good game. I mean, obviously, I think a lot
Exactly.
of people can wonder why the Patriots Giants, ruined a couple of our good seasons.
Yep. Yep.
Wow, we're playing at the
15th
Raiders.
of
That would
October,
be a
man.
fun game
I
to go
have
to.
to.
Once again, thank you so much for everybody that's listening, tuning in to the Sporting Crashers podcast, episode 6. I'm going to leave you with this gem. First of all, I want to appreciate and say thank you to Dee Thomas, Joseph Hernandez, Kyle Barber. Really appreciate you being on my show for episode 6, the special. One thing I want to leave you guys with is this. We go on here and we talk about sports. We talk about a lot. In this case, this particular show was about football. But I want everybody to kind of feel free to reach in, message me, comment, contact me however you can. Let's talk about everything that's related with sports, not just necessarily the leagues, how it affects communities, how it affects lives, how it affects things that we really don't even talk about in major media. When you see and you're watching the major media channels like ESPN, Fox Sports, that's what this brand is all about. The Sporting Crashers podcast. It's for us to have fun, have a good time, talk, and just get to know each other and get a chance to really expand and see how fit sports, anything that's related to it, how it actually impacts our lives. So once again, till the next episode, which will be actually in June episode 7. I appreciate it. Stay tuned. And you already know, you see what it is. From Oakland to LA, back to Oakland to Las Vegas. Let's go Raiders. Let's get this championship and let's get it done. Thank you, everybody. Have a good time. Have a good life. Be grateful. Be humble. Stay up.